Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how to save state for credential manager for Google sign in native Android application with Kotlin. Now I have already made a video about credential manager for native Android, but the mistake which I did in that particular video is that suppose a user has already signed in inside my app, he completely closes the app and he comes back in again. Now how do I know that whether the user has already signed in, and if it has signed in, how do I get the email ID or some other user details? So for that I was using preferences data store. So in case if you don't know, preferences data store is used to store normal key value data, and I was storing email and the user profile picture and the username in that. So actually that is a bad practice. What I come to know now is that you can do state management with credential manager for Google sign in native Android application as well. So yeah, that's what we will be seeing. I won't explain much about credential manager. For that I have already done a video, so you can watch that. So firstly what we will have to do is that we will have to create a Google Cloud Console. So just come to Google Cloud Console and we will have to create firstly a project for it. So as you can see, I'm on Google Cloud Console. So search for just Google Cloud Console on Google and you should find that particular link. Then you can just click on select project, new project. I will just keep everything as default. Just click on create project. If you want, you can change the project name, but yeah, I have just created the project, doesn't really matter to me. And I'll just click on select project. Once it has completed, make sure the project drop down shows your project, so it is showing it for me. Then click on API and services, click on OAuth consent screen. Also just to tell you, I have just created a simple Android project. I'm using empty views project, but if you want, you can use Jetpack Compose project as well. Also I have created another sample project from which I will be copying a lot of code. So this was created just before me recording this video, so that I don't have to remember all the code by heart. Then I will here just click on external, click create, and here I can just give my app name whatever I feel like, and here I will just select my email ID. Okay, if you are publishing your app, make sure you upload your app logo as well, if you are publishing it to Google Play Store, I mean. And here again I will just enter my email ID. So yeah, I'll just click on save and continue, and I'll click on save and continue again. We don't need to add test users, this is fine. I'll just click on save and continue. I'll click on back to dashboard. If you are publishing your app to Google Play Store, you will have to click on this publish app button as well, but I'm not doing it, so I'll just ignore it for now. Then I will click on create credentials, click API key. It will create an API key for me. Again, this is pretty much useless, but I do create the API key just as a safety measure. I'll close it. I will click on create credential, OAuth client ID again, and now I will select Android. Now we'll have to enter package name. For a package name, you can go to build.gradle, and here is my package name. So I'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here. Then for SHA-1 I have this particular command. So I just run this particular command, but if you have already created a release APK, make sure you run this particular command, but you will have to replace here you will have to replace it with your release key store. This should be your alias name, this should be a store password and key password, but given that I'm using debug APK, I'll just copy this command and run it inside terminal, because that's the easiest way according to me. So this will generate the SHA-1 for me. So here if I scroll up at the very top, here is, as you can see, this is my SHA-1 certificate. I'll just copy it and I'll paste it over here. Okay, sorry, paste it over here. And again you will have to verify the ownership if you are trying to publish it to Google Play Store. I'm not doing that, so I'll just click on create. Now it will create it. Again, this client ID is pretty much useless, but we have to create the Android client. So again click on create credential, OAuth client ID. So this web application client ID is the important one. I'll just click on create, and once I get the client ID, I'll just copy it and I'll just paste it over here because I will be needing it in a bit, and I'll click on OK over here. Then what I will do is here inside firstly I will have to go to libs.versions.toml. I will have to copy this credentials, Google ID as well, because these are the dependencies which are required for credential manager. So I'll just paste it over here. Whatever is the latest version at the time you guys watching the video, make sure you use that. And also I'll copy these three dependencies which we have, which is required for credential manager, and I'll just paste it over here. So hopefully you got the point. So just copy this, and then we have to go to build.gradle.kts, and here, sorry, not this one, I will go this one. So here I will have to copy these 3 dependencies. So I'll just copy it and I will paste it over here. Then I will also update this target SDK to 35, because I have already updated installed the 35 target SDK. So I'll just click on sync now. It will download all the dependencies for me. Then I will just go to activity_main. I'll just copy some layout, okay, and I'll go to activity_main. You can use Jetpack Compose as well if you want to, and I have pasted the code. So if you look, it is pretty simple. I have just taken one button for login. Ignore this text view, I'm not really using it, and this button is for logout. That's it. Okay, now again I'll just go back to our main activity and I'll copy everything, and then I will explain you guys the code. I'll go to main activity, I'll paste it over here. Okay, I'll remove the package name. So yeah, firstly, these are all the imports which I have. I'll simply scroll through this. You can copy paste all the imports which I have. Firstly, we create our Google ID option, and here our login button, I'm not really using this text view, and this is our logout button. We initialize it. We create our credential manager. I'll come back to this code later on. Let me first explain you guys the other code. So this is for how you log out. So I'm just clearing the credential state. The credential state is maintained internally by Android OS with the help of credential manager library, so we don't have to worry about it. We just have to call clear credential state and it will do it for us. For login, firstly I create this hash nouns. Again, I won't go in details because I have already explained this in my previous video, so you can just copy paste it. So you can actually watch that video to understand more about credential manager. So here we create our hash nouns. I can't use this client ID. I will have to use the client ID which I have created. So I'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here. This should be false when you click on the login button. Here is the important part for maintaining session, so which I will come back to later on. So here we create our Google ID option, then we create this get credential request, and then we just do credential manager dot get credential, pass our request, then we get the result, we pass to this handle sign in method. Okay, now there are different ways, like we are not using passkeys, I'm not using password credential, we are using Google sign in. So we will come over here, we check whether the type is Google ID token credential. If yes, then we just get the Google ID token. This ID which you see is actually the user's email ID, so here we get the email ID. Use it however you feel like. This is the display name of the user and this is the person photo URL for that. And here I'm just doing a catch clause, handling of the catch clause. Okay, now coming back to this important code, once the user has signed in and he completely closes our app, then here inside on create, I have created this hash nouns. Okay, then here I am creating the same code, Google ID option, but here you see I am passing this as true, and this again should be your server client ID. So I am passing our server client ID over. Auto enabled is true, set nouns, then here we create our request, then again we call this handle sign in. So if you see the code which I call inside login button is very same which I call it over here. The only difference is here we pass it as true. Okay, so if you want, you can create a reusable function and pass it true based on from where it is called. So what is the main advantage of passing this as true? So I will first explain you what is the advantage of passing it as false. When you pass it as false, whatever Google ID sign-ins have been done for that particular Android OS, it will show you all the Google sign-in option. Okay, so whatever the user has picked for the first time, he will be signed in with that. Now when the user comes back to our app, he will be automatically signed in with the email ID which he has chosen. Now suppose if he has not signed in with any of the email ID, if he has installed the app for the very first time, then this will throw an exception, which is fine in our case. So the user will come over here and we will do nothing, we will just present the login logout button, right? But if the user is already signed in, handle sign in, which is same which we call over here, and once you get this part, you can redirect the user to dashboard or main screen, whatever you have. So this is how we can easily get the credential. Again, I think you will have to store this data somewhere, but you don't have to check whether the user has already signed in or not. With the help of this particular thing which we are calling inside on create and passing this as true, it will automatically maintain whether the user has already signed in or not. So I'll quickly run this application and show you guys the output. Okay guys, so here is the output, and obviously I have blurred the output because I don't want to show you guys my email ID. But if I click on login, just open logcat as well, just for my own sake, even though you guys won't be able to see it. And here you can see I'm able to display all the email ID which I have, Gmail IDs which I have signed in with Google on this particular Android device. I will just select one of those and I will just click on continue. Okay, given that I was logging in for the very first time, I did this particular code so the lifecycle.launch, the code which we were running inside on create, did not run, but I did get it, did run, but I did get the exception. Okay, now what I will do is I'll completely close the app. Okay, so I've completely closed the app and I will rerun this application again, and I should be able to see again, sorry, the output is blurred, but I should be able to see all the, so here you can see it is trying to sign in automatically because the credential manager remembers my state, and I'm able to see all my details of the signed in user as well. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.